After consuming a strange ajnyat, unknown, devil fruit washed ashore on a mysterious island, Luffy's personality begins to change, his hunger growing insatiable and his powers twisting into something horrifying, forcing his crew to confront a terrifying question. Can they save their captain from the darkness consuming him, or will they be forced to stop him before he destroys everything they hold dear? The Thousand Sunny sailed into uncharted waters, following a log pose that pointed towards a mysterious island shrouded in perpetual mist. The island wasn't on any map, and the air around it hummed with an unnatural energy. This is the kind of place that would normally excite Luffy, but even he felt a twinge of unease. Intrigued, and against Nami's better judgment, Luffy decided to explore. The island was a desolate landscape of twisted trees, black sand beaches, and strange, pulsating flora. The silence was unnerving, broken only by the occasional, distorted cry of an unseen creature. A thick fog rolled through the area, limiting their vision. On the beach, they found it. A devil fruit, unlike any they had ever seen. It was a deep crimson color, pulsating with a faint inner light and covered in strange, thorny vines. It exuded an aura of immense power, but also of something else, something sinister. Despite the crew's apprehension, Luffy, drawn by an irresistible curiosity, and perhaps the influence of the fruit itself, devoured the fruit without hesitation. He was excited to see what new powers he would gain. At first, the changes were subtle. Luffy's already impressive appetite became ravenous. He started consuming everything in sight: food, supplies, even inanimate objects. His rubber powers began to manifest in new and disturbing ways. He could stretch his limbs to unnatural lengths, his body contorting into grotesque shapes. His personality also began to shift. The cheerful, optimistic Luffy became withdrawn, brooding, and increasingly aggressive. He started having violent outbursts, lashing out at his crewmates for the smallest perceived slights. He began to separate from them, preferring the company of the shadows. The crew, especially Sanji, noticed that the food on the ship started to disappear faster than usual. Their supplies were dwindling at an alarming rate. They were forced to ration what food they had left, hoping to make it to the next island soon. Nami noticed that the log pose no longer pointed towards the strange island, but it also did not point anywhere else. It was as if the island had vanished, as if they were trapped. The situation on the Thousand Sunny deteriorated rapidly. Luffy's transformations became more frequent, more extreme. His rubber body began to exhibit new, horrifying abilities. He could now absorb organic matter into himself. Growing larger and more monstrous with each meal, he could now turn his body into a black, tar-like substance. He could now extend his limbs and use them to grab objects from far away. He could now create extra limbs out of his body. The crew realized that the devil fruit hadn't just granted Luffy new powers. It was changing him, twisting him into something monstrous. It was feeding on his life force, his very being, and replacing it with a hunger that could never be satisfied. The fruit was not just changing his body, it was changing his mind, his personality. They discovered ancient texts in a hidden library on the island, which mysteriously reappeared, detailing a creature known as the Jiki no Mi, a being of pure consumption that devoured everything in its path, leaving behind only an empty void. The texts described the fruit as a parasitic entity, a creature that bonded with a host and slowly consumed them from the inside out, taking over their body and their will. The fruit was never meant to be eaten. It was meant to be sealed away forever. The crew, horrified by the truth, decided they had to stop Luffy to save him from the monster he was becoming. But how could they fight their captain, their friend, the man who had always been there for them. How do you fight the power of a devil fruit that has no clear weakness? They tried to reason with him, to appeal to the Luffy they knew, but it was no use. The entity had taken root, and it was slowly but surely erasing the Luffy they loved. A confrontation became inevitable. The crew, using all their skills and abilities, fought against their transformed captain in a desperate attempt to subdue him. Zoro's swordsmanship, Sanji's kicks, Nami's weather control, Usopp's trickery, Chopper's medical knowledge, Robin's ability to restrain him, Franky's inventions, Brook's music, and Jinbe's fishman karate were all put to the ultimate test. The battle is fierce, but for every hit they deliver, Luffy just absorbs the damage, growing stronger, more monstrous. The Sunny is nearly destroyed in the process. The battle rages on the deck of the Thousand Sunny. Luffy, now a grotesque mockery of his former self, is on the verge of consuming his former crew. His body is a shifting mass of rubber and monstrous features, his eyes glowing with the same red light as the fruit from the island. He is no longer their captain, he is a monster. Just as all hope seems lost, Nami steps forward. She remembers something from the ancient texts, a passage about the entity's one weakness, the sound of a pure, untainted heart. The entity, a creature of pure negativity, could not stand the sound of true, unconditional love. It was said that a pure enough sound could even separate the entity from its host. She calls out to the crew, reminding them of their bond, their friendship, their shared adventures. She speaks of Luffy's unwavering spirit, his infectious optimism, his unwavering belief in them. One by one, the crew members join in, their voices rising in a chorus of love and support for their captain. They sing a song, a melody that Luffy loved, a song that represented their bond, their shared dream. They sing of their adventures, their struggles, and their unwavering belief in their captain. The sound, filled with genuine emotion and unwavering love, washes over Luffy. The monstrous form flickers, the red glow in his eyes dims. He cries out in pain, a sound that is both human and inhuman, as the entity within him recoils from the purity of their hearts. The entity, weakened and vulnerable, is forced to retreat. It bursts out of Luffy's body in a torrent of black, viscous fluid and flees into the night, leaving behind a broken and unconscious Luffy. Luffy eventually recovers, but he is forever changed by his ordeal. He has no memory of the events, of the monster he became, but he carries with him a newfound respect for the power he wields, and a deeper understanding of the darkness that lurks within even the brightest of hearts. He vows to never again seek such a dangerous power. The crew, shaken but not broken, continue their journey. They know that the world is a more dangerous place than they ever imagined, that there are forces at play beyond their comprehension. They know that the entity is still out there, somewhere, waiting for another chance to strike. The sea is vast and full of mysteries, and sometimes the greatest treasures are not worth the price they demand. Some fruits are better left uneaten, and some doors once opened can never be truly closed. The threat remained. The entity would return. This was only the beginning.